Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be my review for Teen Wolf Season 4, Episode 2, 117, or is it called 117? I really don't know what it was called, but whatever. Either way, this episode was amazing. I mean, it was another amazing episode. Teen Wolf can pretty much do no wrong at this point, and I love this episode because we really focused a lot more on Derek's past. Now, not to say we haven't before. As we know, we did have that episode Visionary last year, which was probably one of my favorite episodes of all time of Teen Wolf. However, that episode is more about, seeing how, seeing that girl and everything, and basically that's what that episode was about. What we don't know is everything else that happened in his life, and I like that we really got to see that in this episode. I like the flashback we got in this episode. We got a lot of information in this episode, a lot of interesting stuff in this episode. We got a new creature revealed in this episode, which I like. So let's just get this episode, because overall, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was actually probably better than last week's episode. I love last week's episode, but then I thought this episode was a little bit better. So right away, it's really intense. We see a high school basketball game, and we see a flashback of Derek when he was just a teenager. As we know, Derek's a teenager right now because he's been, Kate has found a way to turn him back into a teenager. But this is a flashback to when he was a teenager and just turned into a werewolf. So Peter arrives and tells him to take the Triskelion out of his pocket, and he begins chanting Alpha, Beta, Omega, and he just starts going Alpha, Beta, Omega. And that was really weird. That was a weird way to start the episode. But at a gas station in the middle of the night, a man hears screaming from the bathroom, and a woman in the bathroom is trying to fight, turning into a werewolf. He unlocks the bathroom and goes inside to check on her, and she attacks him. So that was crazy right there. That was just crazy. So Scott, Lydia, and Stiles, they don't know what to do, because they know that Derek is now a teenager, but they don't know what to do, because, think about it, if you had this guy who was an adult all your life, and all of a sudden he turned into a teenager, what would you do? They decided to take him to Dr. Deaton, and Dr. Deaton says he can't work miracles, and he has no idea how to wake him up, but he tells them to head home and go to bed, because they have school in the morning, and Lydia volunteers to stay behind with the vet. And we find out that Lydia is actually, we find out that Lydia is doing very well in school. She's like, oh, I'm doing well in school, except for the 2 classes I'm failing. That's kind of funny. And basically, they're going to stay for Derek in case he wakes up. By the way, there was a lot more comedic stuff in this episode, which I liked. Yeah, that was good. So Scott heads home and finds his dad sleeping on the couch, and he trips over a toolbox, and his dad explains that he is working on some of the household repairs. So that was interesting to see. And at the animal clinic, Dr. Dean notices that Derek's heart rate is alarmingly high. Like, it's alarmingly high, and it should not be as high as it is. And the vet tells Lydia to hold his hand. He slices his arm with a knife. His skin heals before he's even done cutting him. But Derek then sits up, and his eyes are bright blue. Slashes the vet's arm and runs out of the clinic. Wow. Like, that was a really intense scene. That was huge right there. So yeah, Derek clearly does not know what's going on. He has no memory. As we know, he has no memories left because Kate erased all of them. Kate basically wanted to take him back to time when he trusted her, and that's why she did it. So we find out that later. But then the next day, Stiles and Scott head to school, and in the middle of class, everyone's phones start going off. It's a very funny scene because Kira's dad's trying to teach and everything, and he's like, "Your phone off," and then Kira's like, "Dad, that's your phone." That was kind of funny. So Lydia then calls Scott and Stiles and tells them to come to the clinic. They patch the vet off and try to figure out why Derek could be going. They decide to head to the Hale house. He's too young to know that it had burned down, because, it has not happened yet in his life. So, obviously, to him it hasn't happened, so they can't go there right now. So Derek is already sitting in the rubble where his house used to be, and 2 cops arrive, and Derek begins panicking because he wants to know where his mother is. They taser him and take him to the station, and Stiles' dad arrives at the station, and they run Derek's prints, and he realizes he is actually a teen Derek Hale. That's when he found that out. So Scott and Stiles arrive, and he demands to know if they have been time traveling. They sit down with Derek, and Scott reveals that he is an alpha, which is a very big thing, because Stiles' dad did not know that, which I think was interesting, and I like that, I still like that Stiles' dad, while he's not going to be as involved as he was last season, he's still going to end up helping them, which I like. I like that he's trying to help them out. I do like that. So Scott tells Stiles to take teen Derek back to his house and wait for him, and he reveals he's going to find Peter because they need his help, because Peter, of course, was his uncle at the time. Peter's the one that'll probably know how Derek was when he was a teenager, as we saw in that flashback, so that was definitely a very good idea. So Lydia then stops at a gas station with Kira, and she tells Kira to fill up the tank and wanders over to the bathroom. So it was a very cute scene overall. We see that, Lydia and Kira, they're talking, and Kira's kind of worried about her and Scott. She doesn't know where her and Scott are going. And Lydia says, he probably loves you because you're a badass kicking katana, kitsune, and that was really awesome. I like that Lydia and Kira are becoming very good friends. I like that Malia, Lydia, and Kira are all becoming very good friends. Lydia and Kira are pretty much, right now, just as close as Allison and Lydia. Like, they used to be best friends, as we know. And now that Allison's dead, Lydia's new best friend is Kira, and I like that. I like that Kira is kind of replacing Allison, because again, the theme of the season is can't go back, and you can't go back, so Kira is replacing Allison, really, for Lydia, which I like. So she goes to fill up the tank, wanders over to the bathroom. The clerk from last night is actually dismembered and lying on the floor, and the walls are sprayed with his blood. Like, that was a really creepy scene, actually, because Kira is looking for Lydia, and Lydia's just staring there in horror, and yeah, that was really big. So Scott arrives at Peter's, and he finds Malia waiting for him outside. She insists on going with him since Lydia told her Peter is Satan in a V-neck, and, I'm glad that Malia is helping them out, because she's actually very good when it comes to helping them out. So meanwhile, at Scott's house, Stiles and Derek sit down and have dinner with his dad, and Scott realizes that Scott's dad is an FBI agent. And he asks him if he knows who killed the Hale family. And that's pretty big there. So Peter, in the meantime, is not a happy camper when he learns that Kate is alive, because him and Kate obviously do not get along. And Peter thinks that the reason Kate changed him back to a teenager was because he still trusts her when he was a teenager. So that's why she did it pretty much, because he trusted her when he was a teenager, and he doesn't trust her now. So in order for her plan to work, he needs to be a teenager. So, meanwhile, at Scott's house, Kate climbs in through the window and steals Derek, which, that was big. So yeah, Kate and Kira are trying to take pictures of the damage Kate did in the gas station bathroom, and they send the pics. Lydia and Kira are trying to take pictures of the damage Kate did in the gas station bathroom, and they send the pics to Scott and Peter. So they're because, as we know, she dismembered that guy, so they're trying to figure out what the hell happened. So Peter then realizes that Kate killed the guy at the gas station because he can't control her shifting, and she wants the Triskelion. And, so yeah, that was pretty big. So while they're heading to the vault to stop Derek from handing over the Triskelion, they hear a growling. And it's one of the same monsters that they ran into Mexico. And we find out that they're actually called Zurichs, and they have no chance of beating it. And, so yeah, these are probably gonna be, like, the big creatures of the season now, which are really cool. And he turns and runs. Malia and Scott try to run as well. So yeah, it's pretty big here. And the monster cuts them off, and they realize there are two of them, and they're trapped. So it's really intense shit going down here. But honestly, it's really big too, and I really like this scene. I thought it was really intense. So Peter arrives at the vault and finds Derek handing over the Triskelion to Kate. Because of course Derek trusts Kate at this point, which is really big. Because Kate took Derek back to the time when she trusted him. So Derek trusts Kate right now. So that's a pretty big thing. So Peter reveals that the coin is actually just a piece of junk, and the Hales used it to teach all of their young how to change. It has no magical power, and it's all in their hands. So Derek hears Malia and Scott fighting with the monsters above them, runs out of the vault to help. Scott and Lydia arrive at the school with a baseball bat, and Kira comes to the rescue. Unfortunately, she doesn't have much luck either. So it's really hard to take down these creatures. For a while, they didn't think they'd be able to take them down, which is really crazy, because you thought they'd be able to, but it didn't seem like they could. So they couldn't take him down, and they're kind of stuck there. So while Peter and Kate are in the vault arguing, someone throws flash bombs down inside and knocks them both off their feet. The smoke clears, and a man's feet walks in with a suitcase. And, so really, really big there. And what ends up happening is that teenage Derek finally transforms into the real Derek while he is fighting the monsters. They then run off, and, meanwhile, Stiles and Lydia run down into the vault and find Peter sitting there bewildered. Basically, even though Derek is back, they still have more to deal with, because while Pierre was blinded by the flash mob, a man walked in and stole the bonds he had stashed in the vault, which was $117 million worth of bonds. So, who's the guy that stole them? We don't know who stole them. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. But overall, I love this episode. I thought it was a fantastic episode, and I really did love it. But I definitely do want to talk about a few things. So now that regular Derek is back, Kate's plan basically backfired. There's not going to be a way to... Is she just going to randomly turn him back? I don't know. We'll have to see. But as we know, there was this guy that stole the bonds, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens now. Let's talk about some predictions I have. Now, these creatures that they're going to take on, I have a feeling they're going to be the main villains of the season. Even though Kate's the main villain, I feel like these creatures are going to play a very big role in the season. Definitely. They're going to play a very big role in this season. I'm really looking forward to seeing, what they do this season. Very, very big, because they can't take them down. And it looks like next episode, there's going to be a new character, Sean, that's introduced. And I'm interested in learning some more about Sean. He seems like an interesting character to me. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this character is. But Sean's going to be a new character next season. In the next episode. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Scott and Stiles are apparently going to try to recruit him. So that's going to be interesting to see. But we still have this whole Derek thing going on. And I'm just going to say, I'm really enjoying this season. There's a lot of things I really enjoy about this episode. For example, I like the whole Kira and Lydia being very good friends. I like that about this episode. They're becoming very good friends. They're becoming very good friends. They're just as close as Allison and Lydia were. And I like the parallels this season between Allison and Kira. I like that this season, that we have a lot of parallels between them. Honestly, if I had to pick one, Allison, yes, was hotter, but Kira is a badass, so I'd probably pick Kira. Even though Malia is the hottest out of all of them. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, Malia and Stiles are officially together in this episode. They kissed in this episode again, so I'm assuming they're together now. I'm pretty sure they are together now, because they kissed at the end of this episode, which basically makes me think that they are together. I'm assuming they're together. I think they are. No one's confirmed anything, but I'm pretty sure that Malia and Stiles are together, because they've kissed twice now, and both times they were... I still really do like them as a couple. I think they're a very nice couple, and I do like them. So, Stiles and Malia, I do like them. I also like that they're not really focusing on the relationship part of the season, because while I like that last season, this season is more about the action and things like that, and it really is... It's good, because when the show becomes too much on relationships, it becomes a little silly, and I like that there was more comedy in this episode as well. Like, for example, the scene where they had to cover up to Scott's dad what exactly was going on. The scene where the cell phones, I thought that scene was really funny, where all the cell phones kept ringing. That was a very funny scene. I like that they're trying to not make it as dark as last season as well, because I love the tone of last season, but I'm glad that they're going back to their roots, sort of, and they went back to the school, and apparently there's going to be more lacrosse this season as well, and the reason there's going to be more lacrosse is because that's kind of where the show started. In the next episode, we're going to see a lot more of that lacrosse, which I hope is a good thing, because in Season 1, the second episode was all lacrosse, and I did not like it. However, Teen Wolf has come such a long way since then. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot better next week. I like the lacrosse, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the next episode. And as I said, I really did love this episode. The other thing, of course, is why did, what's going to happen to Kate when she finds out that Derek's an adult now? We're going to see what happens now. But I like that now we are focusing on Derek this season. I do like that. I hope there's a way, I hope they bring up that one girl, like, I forgot what her name was. I think her name was Tess or something like that. I don't remember what her name was. But remember that girl that he turned into a vampire, and then she ended up, she turned her into a vampire, and she ended up dying? Are they going to bring her up? Because she was a very big part in his life. She's part of the reason why he turned into such a savage beast. Like, she's part of the reason why he, turned into what he was. And I thought that was definitely very interesting. But I'm looking forward to the next episode. As I said, we are going to meet a new character in the next episode, which is going to be interesting to see. What else should I say about this episode? These creatures are going to be very interesting to see what they're like. Definitely, that's going to be a big thing. I must say that this season, though, is probably going to end up being the best season. I really love these 2 episodes so far, and I just have this feeling it's probably going to be the best season of the show. Every single every single season is better than the last one. I feel like this season's going to be the best one. So I'm really looking forward to this season. I think it's going to be a really, really great season. I'm really looking forward to it. Let me know what you guys saw this episode, though. What is going to happen with this man that took the money? Who is the man that took the money? I really don't know who took the money. We're going to see who took that money from Peter, but we'll have to see what happens with those bonds. Someone took $117 million, so we'll have to see what happened there. But that's why the episode is called 117. But that's in my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for my review of, it'll be for my review of, it'll be another classic mirror review, so I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.